What is up, bass fishing freaks? Luke Reeser here from Too Fat to Hunt Outdoors. Welcome back to another episode. And today, I'm in the boat, but I'm in my street, not on the water. Getting ready for a long weekend of tournament fishing, and I'm doing some boat prep and some tackle prep. I've got a lot of emails lately from people asking if I would do a video of like the top 5 baits that I use this time of year, early spring. And I get a lot of comments asking, advice on what baits to use this time of year on different bodies of water. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you guys my top 5 early spring baits, stuff that I'm using right now. Typically, this is not early spring right now. We're in the last few days of April, getting ready to come into May. And usually the water is warm, up in the 50s, upper 50s to 60 degrees, and we are just so far behind. Just today, this morning, I was out fishing actually, and the warmest water I could find was 51 degrees, and that was in the very, very far back of a backwater bay. I'm talking like a mile up this creek, and yeah, it was tough. And average water temp today was 48 degrees. So to me, this is still early spring. So yeah, I'm going to show you the top 5 baits that I personally like and have the most confidence with this time of year, what I would be throwing right now when I'm out there. So stay tuned. Tackle Talk starts right now. Okay, so in no particular order, these are my favorite top 5 baits that I'm using this time of year. Like I said, this is just my opinion. This is what I like to use. I do use other baits, but these are my top 5 favorites, probably that I have the most confidence in this time of year. And we're going to start with the swim bait. Swim bait is something I get out as soon as the ice goes off. I'll start using it. It's a great bait. It's a great search bait. It's a great bait to catch fish all year long, but I use it the most early in the spring. This right here is a 3.5 inch Drastic Plastics paddle tail. See, I dipped the tip in this one chartreuse, which I do sometimes. This is a 1/4 ounce 6 cents Divine swim bait head, which I really like. It's got a very good hook on it. So I will fish this on usually 15-pound fluorocarbon on a 7-foot medium heavy rod. I guess the one I use the most is the Dobbins Fury 734, I guess is what I usually throw this on. One thing I really like about it, you can throw it out, you can burn it, but most of the time I'm fishing it really slow. I'm just throwing it out and I'm just slowly reeling it back to the boat. You can let it hit the bottom and hop it off the bottom. Sometimes I like that, depending on where you're fishing it. This is another way I like to fish a swim bait. This is a swim jig that I took the skirt off of. And what I really like about it is this comes through cover very, very well. So early in the spring, when the water's flooded, or if weeds just start coming up, you can fish this through the weeds, through the timber, and this weed guard really helps keep it from getting hung up, where this one will get hung up. So this will be open water, this will be in the cover. So that's one bait that I really like to use this time of year, swim bait. Okay, number 2, a spinner bait. 2 of my favorite spinner baits right here. They're the same, made by the same company. These are made by K Jigs. Link will be down in the description if you want to get some. But anyways, I really like these spinner baits. These are 1/2 ounce. That's what I mainly use. I do use a 3/8 once in a while. A 1/4 ounce once in a blue moon. And mainly the only reason I alternate from a 1/2 ounce is just because I have it in my tackle box. Like if I have to go buy spinner baits anymore, almost all of them are going to be 1/2 ounce. It's just what I like the most. I feel like I can control it good in any depth of water. Really like the spinnerbait. I throw this on pretty much the same rod I'll throw my swim bait on. 734 Fury or Colt by Dobbins is usually what I throw them on. Once in a while I will throw them on a glass rod. They load up really nice on a glass rod. But as you can see right here, I actually got one rigged up. And this is on the Colt 734, just like I just said. So this is the spinnerbait that I've been throwing this year. See, it's a little chipped up. I've been banging it off the rocks and the wood. And what's great about a spinnerbait is you can really slow it down and slow roll it, and that's mainly what they want this time of year. You can also burn them. The difference in these ones, this one's got the whatever you call it, Indiana blade or whatever on there, and then an orange blade to add some flash there if you're in dirty water, which in springtime you are a lot. And then also here just the double willow leaf blade. Probably my favorite spinnerbait ever right there. 2 gold willows, chartreuse skirt. Fish it around wood, fish it on weed lines, fish it right down the middle of a bay. If you're out on a lake and you're dock fishing, you can fish these around docks. Great versatile bait, great all year, really shines in the spring for me. Had a lot of really good days early in the year, not too long after the ice comes out with a spinnerbait. Great tool. Alright folks, next up, this was a big toss-up for me because there's a couple other baits that I really like, but I decided that I'm going to go this route. The jerkbait. Jerkbait is going to be another one of my top 5 favorite baits to fish early in the year. Jerkbaits typically really shine when the water is between 50 and 60 degrees. But in all honesty, you can catch them on a jerkbait all year long. A little secret, I usually keep a jerkbait on a rod all year long. In the summertime, I will fish them. I'll just fish them a lot faster. But the cool thing about a jerkbait, suspending jerkbait, give it a couple hawks and get it down to depth and it just sits there. Twitch it once to the side and it just sits there. So you can fish this thing super slow, like it's a dying bait fish or a really cold fish that just got a spurt of energy, and then he just sits there and then he gets eaten by a big bass. This one is a 6 cents provoke. This is one of my favorite jerkbaits ever. This color is called Jaint Juice. Love it. Love this color. A lot of other good jerkbaits in there. Leadmine Lunkers make some good ones. Let's see if we can show some of his. Here's one of my favorites by Leadmine Lunkers. He made this one specially for me called the Dilla Gorilla. I actually did a giveaway a couple years ago where I gave one of these away. It's like a pickle juice kind of color. Really good. Here's another one I really like. This is a knockoff blank from the Megabass. I think it's called like the M90, whatever. It's a little or finesse jerkbait. It's a 2-hooker. Don't let it fool you. It freaking casts like a rocket and you can smoke them. But yeah, jerkbait's definitely on my top 5 list. Alright, so these last 2 baits are going to be baits that you're going to really slow down with. These are for when the bite's really tough, or if you're in a tournament or something and you just need to slow down and pick some stuff apart. I am going to go with the stick worm. So these are stick worms from Drastic Plastics. Whatever your favorite stick worm is, get a couple bags. These are my 2 favorite colors. This one's called the Ox Blood. It's kind of like a burnt red with some fleck in it. And this one is green pumpkin purple. It's green pumpkin with some purple fleck in it. So these 2 stick worms, there is endless ways you can fish a stick worm. I guess one of the ways I fish it a lot is wacky rigged with a little weighted jig head right here. Especially if it's windy out, I'll use that. Otherwise, I will just use just a wacky hook with no jig head and just fish it completely weightless. but you really got to go slow for that. You can Texas rig them. That's another good way. Texas rig. I have some, I think they're like 1/32 ounce tungsten weights, and I will Texas rig and use that little bitty 1/32 ounce tungsten weight, and you just get the different profile. It'll fall head first instead of like this. Really good for when the bite's tough or you just need to slow down. Use a stick worm. It's about the dumbest thing on the market for bass fishing, but it works. The other way I really like to fish these is I will cut it in half and I will put it on a Ned head. So these are Ned heads from BTS Custom Baits. He poured these up for me. Got a couple different sizes. I like to use a 3/16 ounce and a 1/4 ounce. These are weedless Ned rigs. Work really good, like you can see. Just like that. You can use the whole worm. You can use half a worm. But if you need to slow down, Ned head is a great way to rig a stick worm. I personally fish it on a bait casting setup. I use 15-pound test on a Dobbins Champion Extreme 743. Or I'll throw it on my SLX medium 6'10" rod. Those are the two rods I use for Ned heads and for Sinkos, stick worms. You use a spinning rod. A lot of people use a spinning rod. If you're dock skipping and stuff, spinning rod's a little better. You can skip a lot further and easier. But number 4 is a stick worm. All right, number 1 is going to be another bait that you're going to fish slow. And that is going to be a jig, a flipping jig, skipping jig, brush jig, whatever you want to call it. Just don't call it a swim jig because it's not a swim jig. This is a standard, traditional, been around forever jig. Jig and pig, jig and trailer, jig and craw. This one here is actually a Super K jig. It's a skipping jig and the color's called Ollie. It has been my best friend this year. I have caught some freaking hogs with it. 2 6-pounders, a 5, a couple 4s. It's just a all natural green pumpkin brown, and the craw trailer is a Drastic Plastics craw trailer. Just a little bitty short dude there. Color's called Mitch's Magic, but whatever color scheme you want to use for spring, I like natural. Black and blue I'll use too. Put a little chartreuse in there. It's never a bad thing in the spring. But a jig. And I fish this on my new Hawkeye custom rod. It's a 7.2 medium heavy, 20-pound fluorocarbon. Because this one is a 1/2 ounce. I use a 1/2 ounce jig a lot, 1/2 or 3/8. If the bite's tough, you can go to a finessier jig, a smaller jig. One of my favorites is the Bitsy Bug or Flippin' Bitsy Flip, I think it's called, by Strike King. Great little compact jig. Put a little trailer on there. 15-20 pound test. Go catch a bass all day. There you have it, folks. Those are my top 5 baits for this time of year for bass fishing. Close seconds, probably the chatterbait. Chatterbait's another bait that I really like to use this time of year, and rattle trap is another one. There's all kinds of them, but those are just my top 5. If I only could take 5 rods with me, those would probably be the 5 I would take. Or those would be the first 5 that I would start with. Like I said, if you're a bass fisherman, you know that changes day by day. You could have those 5 rods on your deck and you might not touch any of them. Or you might pick one of them up and that's the bait that works the whole day. You might pick all 5 of them up and none of them work and you start using something else, something totally different. That's just bass fishing, but that's a place to start if you're just getting into the sport and you want to go out and catch bass right now. Those 5 baits should get you some bass. If you have not yet subscribed to Too Fat to Hunt Outdoors, go ahead and do that right now. Hit the bell to get notified every time I put out a video. Clobber that thumbs up. Luke Reeser signing off. Always remember, you're never too fat to fish.